The Zertal Dominion fleet tore through Earth's upper atmosphere like silver knives cutting through a green dream. Warlord Vraxtor stood before the panoramic viewport of his flagship Dominator, claws folded behind his back, mandibles twitching in disdain as the blue and green planet swelled beneath them. "A world of rot and vines," he muttered. "Do the humans truly call this home?" His adjutant, scaled and smaller, risked a glance. "Scanners show no orbital defenses, my lord. No planetary grids. Primitive." Vraxtor gave a low, metallic laugh. "Then it will be brief. The Council will finally see that the myth of humanity was nothing more than propaganda." Below them, lightning pulsed through clouds. The jungle canopy shimmered like scales under rain. To Vraxtor, it looked fragile, soft life waiting to be crushed. Far beneath the storm, Captain Eric Vale crouched under a curtain of ferns, water dripping from his hood. His eyes, embedded with amber biointerfaces, reflected the faint green glow of the neurovines wrapped around his forearm. Each pulse carried data: wind velocity, movement patterns, temperature shifts. The forest whispered to him. The message was simple: they've arrived. He tapped his earpiece. "Ghost vines, we are live. Maintain passive mode. Let the jungle greet them first." From every direction, soft acknowledgments crackled, calm, disciplined voices of soldiers grown in symbiosis with nature itself. They didn't need satellites or radar. The trees watched for them. The roots carried their messages. Eric glanced toward the sky, where distant thunder rolled. "Let them think we're hiding," he murmured. "They'll learn what it means to fight the wild." The Zertal landers broke through the storm, slamming into wet earth with hydraulic force. Metal legs sank inches into the mud. Alien soldiers in glimmering black armor poured out, their heavy footfalls disturbing nests and scattering insects. "Form perimeter," barked a sergeant through static. "Deploy scanners." Machines hummed. Holographic grids mapped the terrain, but the readings blurred, then flickered out. "Signal interference," the technician stammered. "It's like the air itself is jamming us." The sergeant snorted. "Then we do this the old way." They pushed deeper into the green maze, plasma rifles raised, armor lights slicing through the mist. The jungle was dense, alive, too silent. From high above, a leaf twitched. Eric's voice came through the vine link. "Bloom, Sector Delta." The forest obeyed. Tiny spores drifted from orchids, invisible until they ignited faintly blue under alien scanners. In seconds, the spores coated the invaders' armor, marking them like lanterns in the dark. "Targets lit," whispered Neha Ruiz, his second-in-command, position 200 meters west. "On your mark." "Wait," Eric said quietly. "Let them feel alone first." The silence pressed tighter. The soldiers' breathing quickened, even their instruments seemed to hesitate. One turned, weapon trembling slightly. "Commander, I." A sharp crack. The soldier dropped, a hole through his visor. The sound was gone before the body hit the soil. Another followed. Then another. "Contact! Return fire!" Plasma bolts ripped through the undergrowth, igniting foliage. The jungle flared white for an instant, then smothered itself in mist. Smoke and fog merged into something alive. From the shadows, faint laughter echoed through the calms of the human team. Eric's. "They can't even tell the difference between us and the forest," Neha murmured. "Good," he replied. "It means it's working." On the Dominator, reports flooded in. Static. Screams. Confused data. "Commander Vraxtor," said the comms officer, "our forward scouts have vanished. Their signals terminated simultaneously." Vraxtor's mandibles flared. "They're farmers with sticks. Are you telling me a few weeds defeated an armored company?" "No, sir, but the environment is uncooperative." Vraxtor leaned closer to the display. The forest canopy was moving, slow, rhythmic undulations like breathing. "I see no enemy formations." "That's the problem," the officer whispered. Vraxtor slammed a clawed fist on the console. "Deploy the mechanized line. I want fire sweeping this jungle until nothing green remains." The forest dimmed as the alien tanks rolled forward, tearing roots and trees apart. Fire spat from their cannons, scorching paths through the rain. Eric watched the inferno from the shadows of a fallen trunk. "They think they can burn a living world," he said softly. Neha crouched beside him, clutching her rifle. "Orders?" He placed a hand on the soil. "Phase 2. Bleed them." At his signal, the jungle shifted. Roots hidden beneath the mud came alive, wrapping around tank treads. The ground liquefied into sucking pools, pulling machines downward. Branches swung like clubs, shattering sensor pods. One alien screamed as a vine burst through his armor, dragging him into the dark. The air filled with mechanical roars and insect shrieks. The jungle was awake, vengeful, deliberate. Vraxtor's voice crackled through the planetary channel. "Human Commander! I know you can hear me. Face me, coward! You think your weeds can stop the Zertal Dominion?" Eric smiled faintly, unseen beneath his hood. "You already sound afraid." He cut the transmission and moved on, stepping between ferns glowing faintly with his presence. Around him, soldiers advanced silently, shadows among shadows. They reached the remains of the enemy's first camp. Armor fragments steamed in the rain. The jungle was already reclaiming the metal, vines curling over wreckage. "Retrieve data cores," he ordered. "We'll feed them to the root servers." "Sir," Neha said quietly, scanning the carnage. "Do you think they'll retreat?" Eric glanced back, eyes narrowing. "No. Not yet. Arrogance doesn't retreat. It has to break first." Hours later, Vraxtor stood among burning debris, tail flicking irritably. His armor was stained with ash. Around him, alien engineers tried to reset scanners, but every frequency returned chaos, heat signatures duplicating endlessly, sound loops mimicking human voices. He tore a data cable free. "Their technology is contaminating ours." A junior officer hesitated. "Sir, it's not technology. It's organic." Vraxtor froze. "Explain." "The terrain itself is thinking," he roared, crushing the officer under a single strike. "Nonsense! Vegetation cannot think." But the forest answered with a low vibration that shook the ground. Somewhere in the distance, a tree collapsed, not from fire, but movement. Night fell thick and heavy. Lightning flickered over the canopy, outlining the alien encampment. Eric observed through thermal filters, marking enemy armor patterns. "They'll try again at dawn," Neha said beside him. "They always do." He adjusted his rifle, eyes cold. But the jungle doesn't rest. As if on cue, a gentle hum rippled through the trees, the sound of roots communicating miles apart. It was alive, coordinated, ancient. Humanity had not just adapted to its world, it had learned to think with it. Eric lowered his weapon. "Tomorrow they'll bring everything they have," he said. "Let them. The forest will decide who stays." The rain intensified, drumming like a heartbeat across the leaves. Somewhere, deep within the canopy, lights flickered, green pulses responding to the rhythm of his voice. He watched the alien fires burn low and smiled to himself. "They've entered the lungs of the planet," he whispered. "And soon they'll learn what it means to suffocate." The rain stopped before dawn. Steam rose from the soil, coiling between shattered trunks like breath from a sleeping beast. Captain Eric Vale crouched among the roots, studying the valley ahead through a dew-covered visor. Below, the Zertal army moved in formation, hundreds of soldiers, armored walkers, and crawler tanks inching deeper into the jungle. Their arrogance was fading. Now their movements were cautious, almost fearful. But fear came too late. "Neha," Eric whispered into his mic. "Status?" Her voice came softly through the static. "2 platoons in position along the ridge. Acoustic vines armed. Waiting for your mark." "Good. They're entering the mall." He glanced up through the canopy. Thick branches intertwined overhead, blotting out the sky. To the untrained eye, it looked like wilderness. In reality, every plant, root, and insect here was part of an intelligent defense network, an evolved system wired to respond to human command. Eric pressed his palm against a vine. Its surface pulsed faintly in rhythm with his heartbeat. Let's end their hunt. Vraxtor's column crept forward, scanners flickering with interference. His officers moved in silence, wary of unseen watchers. The alien commander's patience was gone. His pride demanded victory, and his failure to deliver it gnawed at him. He raised his voice, sharp and cold. I want every square meter mapped. I don't care if it takes all night. The lead technician hesitated. Sir, our instruments are malfunctioning. The frequencies. Malfunctioning? Vraxtor barked. You're surrounded by weeds and moisture, not sorcery. Calibrate again. The technician obeyed, trembling. A moment later, his display filled with static, then shapes, faint humanoid figures scattered throughout the trees. Relief crossed his face. I've got movement. The signal dissolved into white noise. From above, a vine dropped silently, wrapping around his throat and pulling him into the canopy before anyone reacted. His scream was cut short by a wet snap. The soldiers fired upward, plasma bolts tearing through foliage. Leaves exploded into embers, but the jungle swallowed the light almost instantly. Vraxtor snarled. Cease fire! You'll waste our energy reserves chasing ghosts. High above, Eric watched the confusion through his neural feed. Each movement of the enemy appeared as glowing outlines in his vision. His squad waited, hidden among roots and branches, weapons ready. Hold, he said quietly. Let them tire themselves first. Neha whispered from the ridge. They're inside the acoustic zone. The vines are resonating. Perfect. He exhaled once, then spoke a single command. Sing. The forest obeyed. The vines began to vibrate, inaudible at first, then building into a low hum that rolled through the valley like thunder. It wasn't sound meant for human ears, it was frequency. Every alien weapon, every armor joint, every metallic surface began to tremble. Walkers shuddered and toppled. Rifles ruptured in soldiers' hands. The vibration burrowed into their armor and bones, breaking balance and clarity. Eric's team moved. Precise shots echoed through the mist, cutting down disoriented enemies before they understood the assault. Left flank collapsing, Neha reported. Guide them east, Eric replied. Toward the sink pools. The team advanced, silent as shadows. No shouts, no heroics, only efficiency born from decades of coexistence with the living terrain. Vraxtor fought to stay upright as his armor's servos rattled. He tore his helmet off and flung it aside, the sonic distortion making his head ache. What is this trickery? He roared. A lieutenant stumbled beside him, green blood leaking from his ear vents. The jungle, sir, it's attacking. Vraxtor grabbed him by the throat. It's a forest! Not a weapon! He hurled the dying soldier into the mud and turned to his adjutant. Deploy thermobarics. Burn the whole valley. The adjutant hesitated. Our troops. Burn it! Moments later, firestorms erupted across the ravine. The shockwave sent birds and insects scattering. Even Eric's team felt the ground convulse beneath them. The jungle screamed. Eric fell to one knee, clutching the vine on his wrist. Through it, he felt the pain of the forest, millions of organic sensors burning in agony. But then came another pulse, strong and defiant. It was not dying. It was adapting. When the flames faded, smoke covered the valley like shrouds. Vraxtor stood amid charred corpses, chest heaving. That, he growled, is the end of your planet's defiance. Then the ground shifted. The ash began to move. Small tendrils of moss sprouted from the burned soil, spreading at impossible speed. Within minutes, green shoots reclaimed the valley floor. The jungle was reborn before his eyes. His soldiers stepped back, terrified. Sir, the plants, they're regenerating. Hold formation! Vraxtor shouted, though doubt flickered in his gaze. Eric rose slowly, blood trickling from his nose where the concussion hit hardest. His visor showed the valley blooming again. He smiled grimly. She's angry now. Neha's voice came weakly over the calm. We lost the Bravo team. The shockwave buried them. He pressed a hand to the ground. Then we'll dig them out later. For now, we keep them busy. She hesitated. You're bleeding. So is the forest, he replied. And she's still fighting. He connected his neural link directly into the root beneath him. Instantly, a surge of light and data raced through his nervous system. The sensation was electric, pain, strength, and awareness merging. The jungle's intelligence flooded into his mind. Images flickered, alien movement patterns, energy readings, weak points. He saw through the tree's eyes. Eric clenched his jaw. I have them. Guide all units to coordinate on my signal. Vraxtor watched as his drones took flight, scanning the area. The feeds returned chaotic visuals, multiple human silhouettes, some climbing trees, others burrowing underground. But one feed caught his attention, a faint energy spike moving faster than any biological life form. He zoomed in, and saw a human silhouette glowing with green light. Target acquired, he hissed. That must be their leader. He raised his weapon and marked the coordinates for artillery strike. Erase him. But before the order completed, the comms system shorted out. A massive electromagnetic surge rippled through the jungle, frying every signal relay. Above, the sky cracked open with lightning. What in the void? Vraxtor began, but his words were drowned by thunder. The orbiting Zertal ships blinked offline, their systems overloaded by an electromagnetic storm generated by the planet's biosphere itself. The planet's atmosphere is turning hostile, shouted one pilot over comms before his feed died. Vraxtor stared upward, realization dawning too late. They're using the world as a weapon. Eric felt the storm's energy coursing through his veins. Lightning streaked across the sky, illuminating the valley in flashes of blue-white brilliance. He whispered, Phase Omega. His soldiers disappeared into the foliage. Vines exploded from the ground, crushing armored suits. Trees bent with precision, snapping cables and overturning tanks. Every sound merged into a single, orchestrated roar, the sound of nature reclaiming its ground. Through the chaos, Eric heard a faint, familiar voice, Neha's. They're falling back. It's working. He looked across the devastation. No, he said quietly. It's not over yet. On the ridge above the valley, Vraxtor watched his army collapse into panic. His pride twisted into fury. He drew his plasma blade, its light flickering uncertainly in the storm. Enough games? He growled. I'll end this with my own hands. He opened his communicator, broadcasting across the entire planetary channel. Human Commander! You hide behind vines and tricks. Face me. Let's see how brave you are when the jungle can't protect you. Eric, standing beneath the rain-soaked canopy, heard the challenge. He wiped blood from his cheek and smiled faintly. You'll find me soon enough, he murmured. The forest is already guiding you here. He glanced toward the horizon, where thunder rolled like distant drums. The hunt's almost over. Dawn broke through the mist like a slow exhale, light filtering through the canopy in thin golden streams. The jungle steamed, alive again after a night of battle. Beneath its shifting leaves, Captain Eric Vale walked silently toward the valley heart. His wounds throbbed beneath the biofilm bandages pulsing against his skin, but the pain grounded him. Each step stirred whispers from the soil, the jungle still speaking, still alive. Ahead, the trees bowed into a hollow basin, a natural amphitheater where roots spiraled like veins into the Earth's chest. The Gaia node, the central nexus of Earth's living defense system, pulsed faintly beneath layers of moss. Eric felt its rhythm sync with his own heartbeat. The forest had guided him here for a reason. Static buzzed in his comms. Sir? Neha's strained voice came through. We're tracking movement. He's coming straight for you. Alone. Vraxtor? Confirmed. And he's not hiding behind his machines this time. Eric smiled faintly. Then it's time to finish this. He muted the channel. Some battles belong to one man and the land he swore to protect. Vraxtor emerged from the tree minutes later, massive even without armor plating. His exosuit hissed with hydraulic breath, still smeared with mud and foliage. His once pristine mantle was torn, symbols of rank half melted by acid spores. His blade glowed crimson, cutting faint arcs through the haze. So, Braxtor growled, scanning the glade. This is the mighty human commander? A savage draped in vines. Eric stood unarmed except for a vine-wrapped short blade at his waist. His eyes were steady. You came a long way just to die in a forest. The alien's mandibles flexed. You think this greenery makes you invincible? I've conquered a dozen worlds stronger than this filth. And yet, Eric said quietly, you're the one standing in its graveyard. Vraxtor roared, charging forward, plasma blade cutting through ferns and flashes of red light. Eric moved aside, the strike missing by inches. The jungle responded instantly, roots lifted, shifting terrain beneath Vraxtor's feet. He stumbled but swung again, slicing a branch that bled green luminescence. Eric countered fast, striking low. His blade grazed the alien's leg armor, sparks scattering like insects. The impact jarred his arm, but he didn't retreat. He had no illusions of matching raw strength. He relied on something older, patience. The duel spiraled through the basin, a deadly rhythm of metal and life. Every strike echoed through the roots, every breath stirred the vines. Vraxtor swung in wide arcs, cleaving through vines and soil, each miss tearing more of the jungle apart. Is this your defense? He snarled. A coward hiding behind trees? Eric ducked under another swing, voice calm. No. I don't hide behind the forest. I fight with it. He pressed a hand to the ground. The soil vibrated, reacting to his touch. Vines erupted upward, wrapping around Vraxtor's legs. The alien tore free, but each movement grew heavier, his boots sinking into thickening mud. The alien bellowed. You think this will stop me? Eric didn't answer. He lunged forward, striking the control module on Vraxtor's chest. The blade bit deep, sparks flew. The exosuit faltered, one arm freezing mid-motion. Vraxtor retaliated with a brutal backhand, slamming Eric into a tree. The impact cracked bark and bone alike. Eric gasped, pain spreading through his ribs. He forced himself upright, blood seeping from his mouth. Still standing, Vraxtor sneered. You humans never learn when to stay down. Funny, Eric said, wiping his lip. That's the same thing every invader says before they vanish. Vraxtor roared again, charging one last time. His blade met Eric's in a shower of sparks. Their strength locked, blades grinding together, faces inches apart. You're an insect, Vraxtor hissed. A relic clinging to mud and superstition. Eric's voice dropped to a whisper. You don't understand what you've walked into. The ground beneath them shifted. Roots trembled, then split open, revealing a luminous glow pulsing deep below, the Gaia node awakening. The light spread outward, illuminating the entire basin with ethereal green fire. Vraxtor hesitated, turning his gaze downward. What is this? Eric stepped back, breathing hard. The heart of the world. You wanted to conquer Earth, now you meet her. The alien sensors screamed warnings, systems short-circuiting under the radiation. Impossible! This is no machine! No, Eric said. She's older than machines. The vines surrounding the basin moved as if inhaling. Leaves rustled without wind. The air thickened with energy. Then a voice, not mechanical, not human, reverberated through the clearing, resonating in bone and blood. You sought dominion, it said through Eric's mouth though his lips didn't move. You found consequence. Vraxtor staggered backward, eyes wide. No, get out of my head! The vines shot upward, wrapping around his limbs. He slashed wildly, cutting some free, but more replaced them. The glow from the Gaia node intensified, turning the air into liquid light. Eric stood motionless, eyes reflecting the radiance. You came to break our world, he said, his voice merging with the forest's. Instead, you taught it to defend itself. Vraxtor screamed as the vines pierced his armor, burrowing into his body. His plasma blade fell to the mud, extinguished. The forest consumed him, layer by layer, until the great warlord of the Zertal was nothing more than nutrient and memory. Silence returned to the basin. The glow faded to a soft pulse beneath the ground. Eric dropped to one knee, exhausted. His vision blurred. From the trees above, Neha's voice echoed faintly through the calm. "Eric! Do you copy? The fleet's retreating. They're leaving orbit." He managed a breathless laugh. "Told you the planet had her own defenses. Your signal's weak. Are you?" "I'm fine," he lied, pressing a hand to the soil. "Just listening." He closed his eyes. The jungle's whisper filled his mind, gratitude, calm, renewal. The forest was healing itself, regrowing where fire and blood had scarred it. Humanity's bond with nature had never been symbolic. It was literal, alive. The earth was conscious, and she had chosen to fight back. Hours passed before the retrieval team reached him. Neha knelt beside her captain, scanning his vitals. "You're lucky," she murmured. He opened his eyes slowly. "Wasn't luck," he said. "It was trust." Around them, the basin was quiet again. Sunlight poured through the leaves, reflecting off new shoots rising from the ground. The air smelled clean. Neha stood, surveying the jungle. "What happens now?" Eric pushed himself up, grimacing. "We rebuild. And we remember. The galaxy will think twice before stepping on this soil again." Days later, broadcasts from the Galactic Council spread across the stars. The Zertal Dominion had fallen silent. Their fleet, crippled and humiliated, limped home through broken trade routes. Every species that had mocked Earth now spoke of it in hushed tones. "Sanctuary world," the decree read. "Unauthorized entry punishable by planetary exile." But Earth needed no decree. It had already declared its sovereignty in the language of storm and soil. At twilight, Eric returned to the same glade where the battle ended. The forest greeted him with quiet light, leaves shimmering as though breathing. He knelt, resting his hand on the ground. "Thank you," he whispered. The roots trembled gently beneath his palm. A breeze passed through the trees, carrying a faint, almost human whisper, "We are one." Eric stood and looked toward the horizon, where the sky burned orange and gold. He smiled faintly, the weight of loss and victory balanced in his chest. "Let them laugh at our wilderness," he said softly. "They'll never understand it's the reason we endure." As he walked back through the living forest, the canopy closed above him like a protective shroud. The jungle hummed, not with menace, but with life, eternal and aware. Humanity's home had awakened, and its heart would never sleep again.